Taste me like citrus and fire, burning slow and sweetly. Too shy to call you alive when you said you need me. In a week from now, I'll be trying not to call you. Talking myself down, explaining that there's no use. Ooh, I'm gonna hurt myself trying to love you. You're gonna hurt me too, kiss and tell me to go soon. You're gonna hurt me too. Upset eyes looking so pathetic. My anxiety sounded scraping against my necklace. In an hour from now, I'll be trying not to call you. Talking myself down, explaining that there's no use. Ooh, I'm gonna hurt myself trying to love you. You're gonna hurt me too, kiss and tell. some light when ashes dropping down. We step aside. I'll run away with you to see some light when ashes dropping down. We step aside. Smoke is scanning to the sky. You can't believe your senses. You think you've seen it all until you open your eyes. I never wanna be alone. This place is cursed. I want you to never leave my side. I run away with you to see some light when ashes dropping down. We step aside. We dream of feeling something. I want you. I know we both escape to lose the ground. The world we used to know is burning down. We're always strong enough to build our own. We've been running for ages to search some light. I want you. I know we both escape to lose the ground. We've been running for ages to search some light. We can feel that we're there after running for nights. We feel so I run away with you to see some light when ashes dropping down. We step aside. I run away with you to see some light when ashes dropping down to build our own.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 4 of the Blue Otter Platinum League. We are here with a game tonight between Blue Esports Fire and the UCF Lancers. We're diving right on into the pick ban phase right now. Because of some issues with Blue Esports' lineup, they are going to be fielding an E-sub, and in turn, we will be seeing no bans coming through that actually mean anything on the bottom of your screen here in Lol Draft.
Yeah, so they had to do an E-sub, and then they won't have any bans for the first rotation for this game. Next game they'll lose two, but so if you just see random picks for the side of Blue Esports, that's the reason why. UCF Lancers is going to be targeting that strong jungle pick, so that Hecarim is a very strong jungler right now. I would not be surprised to see possibly a Diana or a Xin Zhao. Zeri, another highly contentious pick, especially for ADC. As long as you give her room, she's able to pop off and just completely carry the game away.
Yeah, taking out Zeri here, definitely a good choice on the side of the Lancers. This frees up some of the other high priority ADCs to be picked up. Blue Esports going to get the jump on that though, picking up that Jinx, a real terror at basically all levels of play right now. Incredibly strong with great hyper carry potential, especially if the game decides to go long here. We'll see how UCF Lancers responds back.
I'm also curious if they have Jinx, if they're gonna try and prioritize Lulu. Jinx Lulu bot lane is especially strong, can carry games out of reach essentially if she gets early kills on her if out of control. Viego's being hovered with Jhin. Jhin, we see a nice counteraction to the Jinx in the bot lane. Viego is just a strong blind pick jungler by himself. So again, they don't want to give too much away, but they're going to try and put the pressure on Blue Esports to essentially show their hand a little bit and try and counteract that.
And we're getting a Karma hover here on the side of Blue Esports. The shielding will go nicely with Jinx, but it'll also afford her a little bit more priority in this lane early. She really has a great lane bully status with Mantra Q, as well as Mantra W being really big engaged tools for the side of Blue Esports here. Rek'Sai going to be rounding out their first set of selections.
That's interesting. I don't see many Rek'Sai players. Rek'Sai did receive a small buff in this latest patch, so I'm very curious if she can throw her momentum around. She's a very strong early game jungler, great gank setup. So I'm curious if they're going to try and be more aggro in the bot lane, try and get this Jinx ahead, or if they'll just try and get essentially vision control and a little bit of awareness where UCF Lancer's jungler is going to be going.
And the Blitzcrank going to be the support pickup over on the side of UCF Lancers, going to be great into those squishy champions there in the bot lane, and will also help to prevent early ganks from coming down in favor of Blue Esports here. Rek'Sai is a jungler that really needs to snowball from some early priority, and I like the fact that the presence of the Blitzcrank is going to make their job of ganking and focusing bot lane a lot harder here. We're getting, once again, a few nonsense bans here coming through for the side of Blue Esports, I believe, although they do take out the Ahri and Gwen. Do they keep those bans actually eternal?
I just think they just want to make sure that there isn't a strong top laner, and then make sure they can't do roaming mid. Zoe is an interesting pickup just because it's they can land a Sleepy Trouble bubble into a blitz pull like that. Whoever they pick is going to be essentially be dead. There's no way out of that, right? If you want to layer CC, you have the silence with Blitzcrank's ultimate. So I'm curious if they'll try and do Fizz. I just haven't seen that much. Okay, it is going to be the Fizz lock-in. Now this is getting spicy because they definitely have early pick potential on the side of Blue Esports. The question is, can they capitalize on that?
Playful trickstering into Zoe is going to be a big way for Blue Esports to get priority there in the mid lane, especially with the presence of someone as strong as Rek'Sai is there after that first clear. It'll be interesting to see whether or not Blue Esports will kind of invest back into their late game with this final pickup, and it looks like they are going to do so with this Jax coming out, going there into the top lane.
And I mean, he's a strong pick just by himself, you know. A lot of people don't exactly pick him. They usually go for Fiora, or they might try Darius. But Jax just by himself, if you don't respond to him, especially in the mid to late game, your towers are going to fall. So they might just play around where, okay, if the early game isn't going that well, possibly this bot lane doesn't get ahead, at least you have the Jax to fall back onto essentially split push the map. And Quinn is, oh, I hate Quinn. I hate Quinn in the top lane, especially if you're playing a bruiser top. It is such it's not a good time. I'm such at a loss for words, and I'm so like triggered because I play top of the secondary role, and I usually play top bruisers or tanks, and just whenever people play Quinn, I just kind of cringe and just sit in a tower and just whatever. You can take the farm, take the plates. I'm just gonna sit here and farm. Absolutely rude.
Yeah, this lock-in for the UCF Lancers is basically going to grant them permanent priority there over the top lane. Jax not really able to do much, especially in the early game, against the dominance we see out of this ranged top pickup. That being said, the presence of Quinn does kind of call into question the UCF Lancers front line. We aren't really seeing anything big and bruisery with, besides the Viego maybe. Blitzcrank going to be building tank, but also not really someone that acts as much as a frontliner, as much as they are just generally a walking pick machine there. So going to be really important that UCF Lancers focus on good positioning, good vision control in order to maintain priority and roam potential around the map, get team fights early, and make sure that they set up in order to shut down Blue Esports' ability to really drop down the damage, especially if that Jinx gets going.
Right, and it's like you said, UCF's front line is Blitz and a Viego, so that's not exactly the greatest you want to a Rek'Sai Jax. So UCF is more of a pick comp, right? They're going to look for these small skirmishes early to mid game. They're going to try and get vision and essentially control and jungle in very tight choke points. Blue Esports, you can kind of get there early with Jinx setting trap, right? Karma has a mantra to speed people up, but they don't have a great advantage to the choke points. So the choke points is going to go to UCF Lancers. If you're talking about going down lane or river by itself, right, creating space, you're actually the advantage then shifts to Blue Esports. With Karma and especially Jax, they can disrupt that front line, they can slow them down, while Jinx is going to be the hyper carry, sitting back and just auto attack and get the resets with Get Excited, basically controlling that team fight. So it's like you mentioned, it's going to be up to positioning by UCF Lancers to catch them out early, because if they fail on that and the Blitzcrank bubble goes down, Slippy Bubble Trouble goes down, basically their pick potential is wasted. Expect to see a full-on collapse by Blue Esports and expect to see the fight turn in their favor.
And given the fact that we will probably be seeing a little bit of a more united front and orientation towards big 5v5s on the side of Blue Esports here, I think that one of the major factors that we will be seeing coming out of the side of UCF Lancers early to mid game will be what can they do with Quinn's roam potential in the hands of Hito there in the top lane. As soon as level 6 comes out for that champion, I really want to see them be mobile, get around the map, and really find ways to begin to maximize and capitalize upon the individual lane pressure that UCF Lancers have at their disposal.
Right, because she's always going to have Permo Prio in that lane unless she completely gets too close, but she should always constantly bullying him out, so it'll be a nice, if Viego wants to start bot, go top, that's an easy scuttle crab, that's one of the freest ones you can have in the game, especially with this range top laner. But based on comps, I just feel like UCF will be able to pick them off a little bit easier, especially if Jinx overextends. So I feel like I'm going to give UCF game 1. How about yourself?
I think that UCF Lancers definitely have a good and solid game plan to enact. The question is whether or not Blue Esports is going to be able to protect their big carries and unite in a way that allows for them to steamroll, especially into the late game here. If they're able to deter Blitzcrank from walking forward and they're able to encourage him to throw hooks out against less preferable targets, that will definitely curb UCF Lancers' ability to go onto things like neutral objectives. I'm imagining that dragon fights will be very difficult for them once they burn their initial approach options, such as Sleepy Trouble Bubble and that hook from Blitzcrank there. Blue Esports, though, I think given the fact that they had to give away so many bans, do come out of this with a relatively balanced comp at the end of the day. The Rek'Sai and Fizz, maybe not the most typical pickups for a competitive environment, but getting that early Jinx Karma lane going really is showing Blue Esports to be pretty resilient here in the draft phase, and I imagine that we'll be seeing a lot of focus on the bot lane in the early game for them.
100% agree with you. We're going to take it to a quick break while spectator delay goes on. Join us back, game 1 between Blue Esports and UCF Lancers. We'll see you then.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Blue Otter League Platinum Series. We are in a big first game here today between Blue Esports Fire and UCF Lancers. We are seeing UCF Lancers begin to move in here with the invade coming through. Pretty obvious choice, I think, with Snazzy there on the Blitzcrank, but I do believe that Bar Jungle only was spotted out at the very least on that ward, as everyone seems to be vacating that bot side.
Yeah, I'm also hoping that lighthearted backs. He didn't pick up any items. I don't think he realizes it. He doesn't. And it's too late to back. So he's gonna go to lane with no items. Very questionable. You might as well invade the red here. You're all down there. But also, I don't like this for the side UCF Lancers, and here's my reason why. Quinn has to go top lane, as you're seeing there in mid. She's gonna be late to that wave, so Jax should be able to pull it if he does it correctly. Fizz, please don't go over there. Okay, thank God. I was like, they're over there by red, but they're actually going to contest it.
Oh, that is going to be a flash hit coming in. John Pon already going low, and First Blood going to be going over to the bot side for UCF Lancers, and they want more. Astraeus also being chunked to about half health now, and this is pretty clear priority for UCF over that red buff. I'm surprised that they didn't just decide to rotate top and go for a vertical jungle. We saw them on their wards, and we did not see any of them leave. Sure, they may have backed, but that is just so enticing to go for with the Blitzcrank.
Not only was I proven wrong, I'm a bit speechless. You had vision. You knew where they were at. Why would you contest it? Give it up. And what did you get out of it? Rek'Sai had to die. Now he's doing counter jungle. You should have done that in the beginning of the game. You knew they were on your red. Just like you said, just go in the opposite jungle. It's not a big deal. Zoe realizes now that she does not have items, so she needs the back. It's always good to check your items, as Viego is just, he's going to full clear this red side jungle, and Rek'Sai, you should take his Raptors at the very least, as soon as he gets down to the red, but, yeah, no, just a little surprising the fact they tried to go for it, and Rek'Sai had to burn a flash, and still goes down, so 1-0 for the side of UCF Lancers.
And the silver lining of all of this is the fact that Rek'Sai really can get rotated on, as we do see a lot of damage coming down onto Steel Thief. That Ignite is going to whittle him lower and lower, and Astraeus is going to be able to secure that kill, as Snazzy is also being taken low, hooking the Karma under tower here. That is going to be flash expended, but now that Bar Jungle only in the area. Astraeus going very, very low, and now their body is going to be picked up as they continue to pressure Regnar the Null back towards tower.
Yeah, just a good collapse on the Jhin there. Burned both summoners. Unfortunately, the kill did go over to Karma. It's not where you exactly want it, but hey, you'll still take that trade. Nice collapse by Viego being on the bottom side of the map. He was still full clearing, went down there. And the one thing I will mention is Rek'Sai tried to vertical jungle and could not even get the red buff. So for Blue Esports, this is kind of a huge travesty. Your Rek'Sai is essentially only did a half of the map. Your other camps are completely gone. So Viego has his entire jungle as well as top skull if he wants to get it. So unless Rek'Sai changes up their jungle path, this Viego is going to completely dominate John Pun for the side of Blue Esports.
Yeah, and the fact that you get even more gold funneled over to Bard Jungle only there after cleaning up a kill bot side means that after this first back, he really has great invade potential. This isn't even to mention the fact that with the Quinn on the map, Hito is really well suited to set up 4 big pushes up against this Rek'Sai to keep John Pon out of the game here. Big hook on the bot side of the map. Astraeus is going to continue to be shot down. Steel Thief is going to run forward now, has that 4th shot in hand. If a little bit more damage could be dropped down onto the Karma, I think that is a dead support. But ultimately, it looks like they are going to move back and just get that wave crashed in.
Attempt though. I like the look. He just barely out of range for that 4th shot. Unfortunately, missed the Jhin snare. Just mistimed. But yeah, Rek'Sai is essentially trying to go topside to gank this Quinn overextended slightly.
Yeah, going through that wall with the tunnel now. Hito not really having much of a possibility of answering back right there. That is going to be Jax barely surviving as long as he can avoid that minion aggro. And although this showing does allow for UCF Lancers to pick up first Dragon, this is the momentum swing that Rek'Sai needs to try to get back into this game.
Right, you had kind of a disaster early on, giving up your red, not even taking their red. Nice job counter ganking. Yeah, you at least got a kill on it. Gold is essentially even. Also, well done for the side of UCF Lancers. You saw that they committed to the jungle top. This is an easy dragon to take. Zoe got her lane shoved out, went back mid. She doesn't even lose anything, is able to clean up that CS. Well played by that side of UCF Lancers. Your top might have gone down, but you're still able to impact the entire side of the map.
And that gold is now sitting pretty at about even here, about what is expected given the fact that UCF Lancers picked up the first dragon. There's a slight gold lead, but nothing too extreme. And given how shaky that start was for Blue Esports there, I think you basically have to be happy. Pat yourselves on the back. You've stabilized things a little bit, and you're able to kind of actually sit down and play this early game out.
Yeah, no, it feels good. You might have had some miscues early on, but if you're allowed to still play the game at 6 minutes and not be completely shut out, that's a win in my book. You're happy. And as far as Jinx is concerned, I mean, right? Jax got or you didn't get a kill top, but you're able to make pressure top side, get Jax essentially back in this game, and you see a little bit of 10 CS differential, but I wouldn't be surprised if Rek'Sai tries and makes another play. She still does have her flash, but so does Jax, and you'll be able to follow up on her.
Yeah, a lot of possibilities for plays around the map. We see them rotating up towards the mid lane right now. Hito getting a lot of pressure off. That is going to be Argo deciding to jump in. And now Bard Jungle only is going to go under tower to try to secure the kill against the Jax right now. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, we got a huge game going on as John Pon is going to be able to get Lighthearted down to just a sliver. And the combination of the Ignite and poke damage coming through from Mr. Top, what is that name, is going to allow for Fizz to pick up one for the side of Blue Esports.
And we talked about the Rek'Sai pick. An extremely strong jungler to the early game, has plenty of gank potential. And I guess we also discussed, oh, hold on, a fight in the bat lane.
Yeah, Steel Thief is going to have Karma W placed upon them, but is going to be able to walk out of its range, especially with Snazzy providing a lot of momentum down here. Is going to be able to get the grab down now onto Karma, and that is going to be a kill going in favor of UCF Lancers. In the wings, waiting right there, and going to be able to snipe that Jhin out. Although they are a little bit deep, they're going to be able to tunnel through. Bard Jungle only not able to get a revenge kill for their fallen comrade.
Dun it, dun it. Darn it. That's like the only thing going through that Jin's head right now. And the fact that Rek'Sai also has that summer or pool party skin as well, right? It's also swimming around with a little sharky shark. That's essentially what happened. A fantastic snipe for the side of Blue Esports on John Pun. It's 2-1-1 with a shutdown. Despite what happened early game, actually has a shutdown. Blue Esports ahead 200 gold.
Yeah, Hito getting jumped on a bit, going to vault their way back, and now Argo the Radis is the one in trouble as they're going to run under the tower there. Fizz in the area, though, looking for a way in. That is going to be flash force out of Hito to get around from Chum the Waters, and now they're going to vault, try to move back towards tower, and look at this turn. Tons of damage going down. Valor going to be able to get that Fizz short-sighted as they are now sitting there in the alcove as Quinn goes airborne once more. Snazzy going to be able to clear that up. That is a kill for the support on the side of UCF Lancers, and now you're seeing a big rotation from both sides up here to the top lane.
Yeah, that was just a complete collapse in the mid lane. They tried to do a gank, unfortunately didn't work out. Blitz, well, died, was able to roam top on that secondary engage. Zoe rotated over, Diego was in the realm doing his camps, and just a great collapse side UCF Lancers, but Jin's going to collapse on the bot lane.
Yeah, Sylthief left all alone, huddling under the tower as tower shots go down left and right, is not able to get Austrius pinned with their W, though, and that means that both Rehgar and Austrius are able to get out alive. That dive not going quite as well as Blue Esports would have hoped.
No, quite a good idea, but the execution was off. I do agree with Karma tanking it up first, but Jinx just does not have the items right now to deal the damage, right? You still have Noon Quiver from the side of UCF Lancer, the Berserker Greaves for Jinx, but she does not have the damage to essentially poke on her tower, so that way they can get excited in the reset to get out.
And Snazzy gonna flash forward, really looking for blood here. That's ultimate also dropped as we see Hito come into the area. Austria is gonna be the first one taken down here, and that is going to be Jinx going low, dropping Super Mega Death Rocket for peel potential. And now we see them continue to push on the bot side of the map. They're gonna want to get this wave in as Dragon is about to spawn. Oh, meanwhile, mid lane as well. Chumba Waters coming through, and that is a quick kill
dead
down
Zoe.
on to the side of Lighthearted here. John Pond picking up yet another one to put into the arsenal here. 300 gold bounty onto the jungler from Blue Esports, although that is a second dragon picked up by UCF Lancers.
Yeah, it was just, okay, well, unfortunately, unfortunately Karma went down bot lane, but fantastic response by the side of Blue Esports approaching that mid lane. Let Jack scale up. You don't need to go top side, just collapse on the Zoe, free pick potential, and she goes down 0-2 in that mid lane.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure about that Rift Herald being dropped on the bot side of the map, given the fact that Rek'Sai is standing mid. Argo getting poked heavily now. Hito gonna jump back onto Valor and try to get the kill here. Gonna vault in. That is going to be some auto attacks dodge, but it is not going to be enough. That bruiser into Quinn matchup you were talking about really starting to pay out dividends for UCF Lancers.
And that's why I hate Quinn players. I'm sorry to say, and I'll say it live on stream. I do not respect Quinn top laners. You will never get my respect. This is a bruiser top lane. This is, we will beat each other. Let's farm it out style. I don't care how tanky you are. I don't care how much damage. We will beat each other black and blue. Everyone else don't come to our lane. Let us fight it out mano y mano. But you're going to play Quinn? Okay, well, all bets are off. We'll just tower dive you and over until you eventually just quit the game and alt F4. Unfortunately, Blue Esports doesn't have the comp for that. And yeah, unless they help this Jax out, he's just going to keep falling further behind, and it's going to take a while for him to get back in this game.
I will say that the mobility coming out of Snazzy does mean that Jhin is constantly being harassed and pushed under tower here. This is quite a few plates going over to Rhaegar and Austraeus, which is definitely going to help this Jinx get ahead a little bit, maybe get online and do some more damage as we move deeper and deeper into the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, also Jinx can clear much faster than Jhin can, so as long as they keep trying to crash these waves into him, it's going to be difficult for him to pick up CS. And over time, you get these small little advantages out of your Jinx, right? And then it doesn't matter if he gets some kills early, 2 kills, as we see. The gold, she's only ahead by 100 gold. He's got 2 kills up 100 gold, but because of the fact that Jinx was able to get a plate, she was able to get 2 assists on it, is up 11 CS. That accounts for a lot of times kills and negates a lot of the differential that could impact your games.
Yeah, definitely. And we're beginning to see that gold translate into the first few items here. Bork going to be completed on Bar Jungle only, while Rek'Sai has that Prowler's Claw in their arsenal here. I'm really interested to see how we're going to be viewing the later game itemizations coming out of the Jhin and the Jinx. For the time being, both of them are sitting on that Noon Quiver here as we get another gank here in the top lane. Hito getting some harass down, but now being chased by the Rek'Sai. We have Viego coming into the area. Gonna W forward now. That is going to be a dead top laner traded for a jungler. UCF Lancers looking for more now. Bar Jungle going forward and going to get that ult reset, taking on Jax's body, and now Lighthearted is in the area. That is going to be a kill traded back. Fizz is going to be able to take down the Viego. Lighthearted now, the inheritor of this wave on the top side of the map. It is the mid's top. It is upside down world as we see damage being put down onto the side of Blue Esports now. That is Curtain Call coming through. That is a kill going over to Snazzy, and topside the scuffle continues. Top and going pretty darn low up here against the Zoe, and now Austrius is in a 2v1 running around trying to stay alive for as long as possible, but that is going to be one more shot to the head and a dead Karma on the board.
Very smart by Snazzy on Blitzcrank. Oh, fight's not over yet.
Yeah, the action just continues here. Top Napun gonna have to run down into that river, flash the wall right there. It's crazy how fast this Quinn is able to get back online, jump on the Valor, and rotate to where they need be. This means that Hito immediately gaining priority back over that lane. Even after that unfortunate gank, Hito gonna vault. Argo the Radis taking a little bit of damage. This is just that classic matchup that you hate so much.
And I mean, yeah, it's just,
no way this kills. Oh my, Argo!
Oh, that's why I hate Quinn. You try and go on her, she blinds you. All right, I can't see. You scratch my eyes out. All right, I can see. I'm going back in. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna just push you away, get some distance, and free fire you back downtown. Population, death screen. Population, color, gray, Jax. You're gonna love it. You're gonna see more of it. My name is Quinn. Hear me roar, and she's gonna get that first tower in top lane. This Quinn is, we talked about it. The range matchup she has against bruisers is just absolutely devastating.
And that is going to be John Pond jumping in, trying to get something done across the map here. Lightheart is just going to be able to prance away, though. Bar Jungle only now the sole inheritor of this red side bot jungle. As the dragon begins to come into form here, it will be interesting to see whether or not UCF Lancers is going to contest. Snazzy running forward as that big front line, just dashing straight into the pit, dropping that ultimate. Big engage is coming out from either side. Jax is here, going to be the first one melted down now, and Lighthearted also going exceptionally low, as it looks like priority is going to go back over to UCF Lancers. That is going to be Blue Esports picking up that dragon though for them, but at the cost of an ace coming through. Completely asymmetrical. Nobody down on the side of Lancers. This is a huge swing of gold and a huge swing of momentum.
And honestly, that broke the game wide open. That's something I talked about earlier, is these small choke points. You had Rek'Sai in the Dragon Pit, you had Karma in the Dragon Pit, and Jax in the Dragon Pit. There's no escape besides the front of it. So Blitzcrank can go in, hit his ultimate, that depletes any Karma shield you think about having. Fantastic pickup in counteracting that. So no one can do anything, they're silenced. Viego is hitting him, Quinn is blinding everyone in the back line. Meanwhile, Jink can just auto attack. They got collapsed on, that's the problem. In these small choke points, in these small little areas, the side will go to UCF Lancers. That's something we predicted in the draft phase, and it's playing dividends on the screen.
Yeah, Bar Jungle only getting a bit caught out here, going to have to jump over that wall, but it's not enough, and now it looks like Blue Esports are looking for more. Hito going to be chased, but in turn, just able to slip out right there. It is a 1-for-0, but Blue Esports have a lot of work on their plate going forward to try to equalize this gold lead that is now ballooned considerably in favor of UCF Lancers.
And honestly, you're finding fewer and Viego when you died right there. The shutdown went to Karma. She's not going to win you these games. It's going to be on this Fizz. It's going to be on this Jinx. Rek'Sai is strong early, but if you're going more of an assassin Rek'Sai, which based on this build, here Jinx getting caught out again.
Yeah, Hito just going to be able to drop down right there, get a lot of damage down onto Rhaegar, and basically take them out of the fight. Snazzy is going to run forward, grab some hooks, and Jinx is going to be able to trade a little bit of damage back from over that wall. But look at the confidence from the side of UCF Lancers. They don't get anything right there in terms of tangible gold benefits, but they do, once again, pack a wallop and get more priority over these core neutral objectives here. We have about 2 minutes before this Rift Herald despawns, and so this priority is going to be really valuable in securing yet another push from UCF Lancers.
Yeah, it absolutely should be theirs, right? It also denies the objective bounties as well. And kind of looking at the top turret, there's only about, I'm trying to look at the health, there's only 1348 on top, and then the bot turret is just under just over 1,000. So you at least have those turrets to get you a little bit of gold back in your pocket. The problem is you have this Quinn that can just, and Blitzcrank that can just collapse in these side lanes so quickly, so.
Yeah, speaking of a collapse, Snazzy's gonna run straight forward, taking a ton of damage, and Rhaegar is going to be the first one to go down there. Hito going on a killing spree as well as they begin to wipe out more and more players from Blue Esports. Huge priority now over in the mid lane, combined with the fact that they had that Rift Herald. Basically, UCF Lancers are gonna be able to walk wherever they want, and speaking of which, Top Napun going to be taken out here, or at least attempted to do so, by Hito as they rotate into the area. Big Sleepy Trouble Bubble coming down, and that is going to be a huge paddle star to finish off that Fizz.
I don't think it's over here. I think Viego wants to go in for this kill.
Gosh, let me catch a breath, guys. UCF Lancers now chasing down the support on the side of Blue Esports. Ultimate is going to be the true heartbreaker coming through. Blue Esports definitely with their souls a little bit bruised and battered here, as we see this rotation on the bot side of the map cost them yet another turret. It is now 4-0 on that score, and it really is beginning to look like a one-sided affair here.
Yeah, it was, very even early on, but that dragon fight where they got the ace, and they got, essentially, if you look, there's a large amount of vision control on the top side of the map for UCF Lancers. They played around it. Unfortunately, Blue Esports didn't, so you get 2 dead mid, and here they go again.
Yeah, that W is going to land straight onto the newly respawned Fizz, taking them back down to about 4th of health. Hello, Fizz. Go back to Fountain once more as we see the empowered back coming through for Viego. It doesn't look like we're going to be getting another extended push here on the bot side of the map, but rather the reconvening of UCF Lancers to once again needle away and find the pressure points with which they can take out Blue Esports here in Game 1.
Right, and if you're the side of Blue Esports, you at the very least you got Infernal, so you do not need to fight over this, and that doesn't look like they're going to, so that's going to be a smart call. Give it over. You do not want to take 5v5s. You will lose 5v5s. The other problem is pick potential. They have it. What you need to do right now is force through numbers. Look for those 3v1s. Look for those 4v1s. That is how you're going to get yourself back in this game, and that's essentially what Rek'Sai is doing, but Quinn is sniffing it out topside.
And think about what we talked about during the draft phase here. The fact that UCF Lancers, the team that we said had to rely on picks to get ahead, is now steamrolling the game and forcing Blue Esports, who was the team fight comp, into trying to go for picks of their own, really is spelling disaster as Hito, without fear, runs into the base after wiping out Austrias and now is looking for a second kill. That is going to be a jump and vault over the wall right there to prevent Top Napun from scoring a kill back. Chum the Waters is going to come through, but that curtain call mowing down members of the enemy team. Blue Esports going low on all fronts as the Rift Herald is dropped to mid. It looks like we might be seeing UCF Lancers trying to get a Nexus turret at the very least here.
Yeah, and I would say just let it crash into one of the towers if you can, right? It still has one charge off, but they should be able to burst it down and go for this fight.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get a Heartbreaker away from Bar Jungle only, which signals to me that for the time being, the chaos has abated, but at the same time, UCF Lancers overjoyed at the fact that even without Baron, they have cracked open Blue Esports' base wide open here, and they are rotating towards that top side of the map and maybe looking for the Baron.
This game is UCF's to lose at the moment. All you need to do is, right, I get the idea you want to come to Baron, but I feel like they're overextending a little bit here.
Yeah, Argo is going to be able to take down Bar Jungle only right there, and now Top Napun going low is going to be the one overextending themselves. This is probably going to lead to a trade of champions between Blue Esports and UCF Lancers, and the question is now, with the Viego gone, will we be seeing UCF Lancers continuing to push down mid, or instead look for one of these side lanes, continue to get pressure, find gold where they can, and just reconvene for one final push?
I would say just keep pushing top because you already seen the mid lane. Supers are coming through. So I would just keep pushing top. Let Quinn do her thing in the mid lane. Keep forcing on him, but don't let him get too close to this tower and just essentially get a free second inhib.
Yeah, Hito going to go pretty darn low here, and that is a big Karma W coming through that will help for the shutdown to go over. Quinn is going to go down, and Argo wants more. Steel Thief and Snazzy there on the top lane running away while we see the shadowing of Lighthearted in the area. Argo not stopping, though. Jax continuing to go forward and now split up from the rest of the team. That is going to be a hook, and Steel Thief is going to secure the kill.
Yeah, just a little too deep there. He wants to go for it, but you're too far away from your team. They're not able to assist them. So unfortunately, Argo goes down on the Jax, and yeah, they should be able to get a Baron. And now if you're the side of UCF, just have Quinn go one lane, send forward another, and just close this game out.
There's very little that Blue Esports is going to be able to do, given the fact we have a 10k plus gold lead on the side of UCF Lancers at the 24-minute mark. You basically have to hope and pray that this death march into Blue Esports' base is going to end disastrously for UCF Lancers. You have to hope that there is some kind of crazy engage or misstep in order for Blue Esports to secure any hope of bringing this one back.
Yeah, and it's looking a little desperate. I looked at the gold graph and I looked at the gold chart for both teams, and Viego is almost up 4,000 gold over the Rek'Sai, over 100 CS, and for top lane, 4,000 gold officially for this Quinn over the Jax. Top and jungle are essentially dominating the top side of the half, but we also have to give respect to Snazzy on this Blitzcrank. 16 of 24, 66% KP of his team. Deathless perfect 16.0 KDA. He has been assistant in helping this bot lane get ahead and stay ahead.
And not only bot lane, but honestly, Steel Thief was left alone for quite a while as Fizz goes down here. Snazzy was able to just roam top and find huge leverage throughout the entire game to really help secure a victory in all lanes for UCF Lancers. This is basically looking like the death knell. They are going to opt to go push this bot side of the map and pick up this final inhibitor. But given the fact that you now have a pretty low Quinn, it'll be interesting to see whether or not UCF Lancers wants to end it now or are going to look for one more push later on. That being said, given who's up, I think that this may be the end of the game here. Argo is going to go in and try to find something, immediately just getting melted though, and Snazzy does not miss with these hooks. That is going to be it. Austria is going to have to just run towards Fountain and hope that something crazy happens. Topnupin gonna go in and try to get someone shut down, but is going to get bursted in turn. This Viego is a monster now, as Steel Thief is also going to take out the Rek'Sai, and now that Curtain Call in base is going to seal the fate of Blue Esports. 1-0 for UCF Lancers.
And yeah, it's just fantastic by the side UCF Lancers. We highly, highly hit on the fact that they need these picks. They need to win this game early because if they don't, Blue Esports will essentially a little bit outscale them with this Jinx pick, with this Jax pick. And UCF Lancers played that extremely well. A little bit shaky in some skirmishes around, the 8-9 minute mark, but other than that, I think that they play this fantastic, and it shows 26-minute game closeout 1-0 for the side of UCF Lancers.
A lot of shining spots there for the red team for sure. Lighthearted, even though they only really secured 3 kills for themselves, their sleepy trouble bubbles and their splash damage with Paddle Star really helped to push forward and get those carries online. Quinn 8-3, Viego 8-4, Steel Thief 8-2. Fantastic distribution of gold and in turn damage there for UCF Lancers. Every single person was a threat. And shout outs to Snazzy in particular, my personal MVP that game, hitting the hooks where it counted the most and not afraid to run forward and tank the damage for their team. The fact that they were able to so fearlessly engage on that dragon fight that eventually led to USCF Lancers securing that first ace basically defined the game for me. On the other side, Blue Esports definitely made some missteps right from the very beginning. I mean, the fact that you had Rek'Sai still walk up to their red buff there in the beginning of the game really kind of set the tone for the macro decisions that Blue Esports made going forward. They got some picks here and there, but the fact of the matter is that they simply made too many misplays. They engaged at the wrong times and just were not able to leverage the fact that they clawed back to parity after that early death of the Rek'Sai.
I mean, yeah, it's like I said, essentially the early game, right? You're trying to fight over a red that should have just essentially been given up. But no, it felt like at times that Blue Esports was a little bit confused or lost, whereas UCF had a game plan, they stuck to it. Um, both teams are apparently ready for the next phase of drafts. So there won't be a break. I'm just gonna wait on both teams to confirm. But while we do that, honestly, for game one, I think the MVP has to be that Blitzcrank on excuse me, on Snazzy. I thought he did a fantastic job hitting hook after hook after hook. We saw the roams come out for top lane as well, the collapses on some small 2v2 and 3v3 skirmishes, and he honestly played dividends for how this entire game played out overall.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if we get any adjustments from either side here as we move into round two. Eternal, any quick predictions before we throw it over to a break?
Um, I think for Blue Esports, you need to essentially, if you know if they're picking strong early champs, you got to give up the priority and just kind of relax. Maybe they look like they want to pick team fight champs, so pick team fight champs and try not to play too much either skirmish or how to describe it. Pick potential because Fizz Rex I usually more for picks potential. So that was kind of Lancer's whole job, and they played that well. Try not to copy their play style and try and find your own groove a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. For those of you just tuning in, we just witnessed UCF Lancers go up against Blue Esports Fire 1-0 here. Big emphatic plays coming out from the red team here, and it is going to be interesting to see adjustments coming through. Don't go anywhere. We're going to throw it to a quick break as we get draft up.
Never mind. Yeah, I thought we were going to draft because I guess both teams had their.
And welcome back after that brief break, everyone. We are getting a little bit of a side swap as we move into the second draft phase. UCF Lancers going to be the ones on blue here. We are going to be seeing, therefore, a little bit of a change up in terms of this pick ban phase, with priority now going over to UCF Lancers on the first pick.
Yeah, and hey, at least they will have one ban for this first rotation. But again, that hacker and pickup, it seems like UCF Lancers wants to target the jungler early on for Blue Esports and make them a little bit uncomfortable.
And after what we saw in game one, I think that that's a pretty decent game plan. Even though Rek'Sai maybe overstepped a little bit and got killed early by the invade coming through from UCF Lancers, they really were a huge ganking presence and threat, able to play around vision pretty darn well. And even though they basically lost a whole quadrant of their jungle, they really stayed up at pace with bar jungle only, at least for a little bit before the game really began to spiral out of control.
Yeah, no, it was just constant back and forth early on, right? Both teams kind of wanted to fight each other. But no, I'm just kind of curious what's going to happen here is Lilia getting banned out from the UCF Lancers, again, targeting this jungle ban, making sure and like hovering the zero. They just do not want these two champions played, and for good reason. All three of these champions are very strong.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with sticking with this set of bans from UCF Lancers here. And given the fact that they now are the ones put on first pick, we could be seeing a little bit of flip-flop of the bottom lane with Jinx going over to their side. We definitely can see that in the right hands that this champion can just really fully take over games. And it looks like Blue Esports, kind of reading my mind right there, are going to decide we can't let this champion get through and are going to ban it out themselves.
Yeah, and you definitely okay. UCF is immediately going back to that Jhin. He played very well, and especially in that dive we saw on the bot lane. Didn't exactly work out for Blue Esports, but it seems for the side of Steel Thief, he feels very confident on this champion. Feels secure. Doesn't matter what he's playing into. Give me, let me carry.
Definitely seems to be a little bit of a comfort pick there. It's not something that we see really high priority placed upon, especially in the higher elo leagues or even professional play, but in turn, we saw Steel Thief really be able to leverage this champion to the highest ability possible. Big curtain calls coming down, especially in the late game, to soften up the front line from Blue Esports, and great resilience even when Snazzy was roaming to ensure that they didn't die to the force of the Karma and Jinx. The Karma, in fact, something we're going to be seeing again here.
The Udyr, I'm interesting now. Is that going to be an Udyr jungle phase rush with Chemtank, or is that going to be an Udyr top lane? We'll have to wait and see what they pick out in round 2, but at least in my eyes, that is a flex pick. If you want to make this Udyr a split push top, you absolutely can. He's incredibly hard to deal with, and it's what that Trundle is, again, can also go top. So both UCF is kind of calling their bluff. If you're going to throw Udyr top lane, we'll throw Trundle up there, and he's not going to have a good time.
Yeah, a lot of variations in terms of these top jungle flex pits coming out on both sides. It's going to definitely impact what we see in this ban phase coming up later. Blue Esports still going to be pondering before choosing their last champion here in the first phase, and it looks like it's going to be a Sivir of all things. I'm also liking the fact that UCF Lancers is going to be putting Snazzy onto that Nautilus. We've seen him do great on these tanky engaged champions, and Nautilus is basically the poster child of that entire archetype.
Well, so far it seems like between Karma and Sivir, it's just everyone go in. So now I'm curious if they all have zoomy champions. Why not pick a Zillion up for your mid laner? Let people kind of zoom around the map. Hecarim ban is a very smart ban, regardless of the fact he's strong or not. It's still a smart ban. And imagine if that wasn't Udyr, but a Hecarim with Karma and Sivir, and he's just running around the map. So I'm kind of curious what they'll see. Quinn again. Happy Quinn's gone. You just don't want that being played the top lane. Volibear is kind of being hovered potentially for a very strong jungler. You can shut off towers. You can set up gank potential. Volibear is never always, geez, English, excuse me. Volibear is never out of the game. He's always a threat.
I definitely like it being removed from the pool here, especially given the fact that he synergizes with Blue Esports whole. Let's go zoom and really engage in fights bodily here, given the fact we already have that Udyr, Sivir, and Karma locked in. It looks like we're getting a hovered ban of an Ahri, obviously a very strong mid laner. The nerfs here in 12.5, I don't really think have knocked her out of contention in professional or even high-level competitive play, and it looks like that is going to be answered right back with a ban of a Veigar.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and same with Hecarim too, right? He got a little nerf, but it didn't really affect him all that much. Kind of just shrug it off. So I'm curious if Blue Esports is going to go for a jungler or mid. You do have the last pick. You do see kind of what UCF Lancers is doing. You could potentially make a counter pick for mid. Personally, I would just pick your jungler or top here. But I think from what happened last game, Tryndamere. Okay, yep. So it is going to be Udyr jungle and Tryndamere top lane for the side of Blue Esports.
And I like the Tryndamere pickup. It's an incredibly strong champion right now, given how the meta is playing out, and the fact that you're able to just output so much damage and really kind of assist in dives with your ultimate alongside the Udyr going in means that you're going to have a real threat up there, and it's going to be on the side of the burden on the side of UCF Lancers to try to shut that down. A Zoe going to be going into the hands of Lighthearted for a second time in the series.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to play extremely well in the first game against them, right? Constant bubbles, was able to essentially just throw spell after spell into the opposition, and Lighthearted did it well. Yes, Rek'Sai did gank her a little bit, didn't exactly have the best safeguard. As a risk of picking Zoe, you don't exactly have the best escape chances. As we see the Graves being locked in, I assume that's going to be a Graves top. I could be wrong, but I have seen a large amount of Graves into Tryndamere top pick.
Braves has definitely diminished a little bit in terms of their power top lane, given the fact that we've been seeing those ranged hull breaker nerfs come through and really impact him more than any other champion. But even with that being the case, Graves still does a great job as a ranged top laner against the Tryndamere. He has the ability to drop those W's in order to get a bit of space between him and this big barbarian, and is also just able to vary their playstyle between being relatively safe, farming under tower, and also pushing when need be. Trundle, great gank potential there with that ice pillar, will be able to kind of move up and maybe get something done against this Tryndamere selection from Blue Esports. But just broadly across the map, I think UCF Lancers have still constructed a pretty strong team composition here.
Right, and I think UCF has a better team composition because of one factor. If you're the side of Blue Esports, you go in. What's the backup plan? You don't exactly have one. You don't have much disengage besides maybe a Cassidon slow or a Mantra by Karma empowered, but like that's it. You have Nautilus hook and disengage. You have Trundle pillars. You have Graves that have smoke screen. You have Sleepy Turtle Buttles. You have a large You have better chances of slowing the opposition coming into you for the side of Lancers, whereas Blue Esports, they need to run their face and essentially headbutt you into submission. And that's what we're going to be seeing. This Udyr and Tryndamere is going to be diving this backline sped up by Karma, whereas Sivir and Cassidy are going to try and disrupt it with positioning and through auto attacks. There's a much trickier comp to play, whereas Lancers, you just kind of have to just sit, chill, relax, drink a smoothie, let Jhin auto attack, and just have Trundle sit there and soak up damage.
And the pick potential once again really coming through for the Lancers as well. As we see this repeat Zoe mid, this time into a Kassadin, you're going to be allowing for Zoe to be freed up a little bit. Big sleepy trouble bubbles over walls can basically define whole gank setups for their side, whether the Zoe decides to use their priority to go top or bot in the map here. And I think that furthermore, the fact that we see Blue Esports opting for the Kassadin mid as maybe a bit of late game insurance really continues to put a premium on their ability to dictate 5v5 engages, which may also be a little bit at tension with Argo's goal of trying to split push on this Tryndamere.
Yeah, and essentially I feel like that's what's going to be one of their game plans is this Tryndamere or Kassadin is going to be their split pusher, maybe even Udyr. And then if you don't respond to him, right, so for UCF, you have to group as 5. You just can't deal with it. So that's going to be Blue Esports win condition is you don't exactly want to fight too much pre-level 16. You want Kassadin to scale up. You want Sivir to scale up. Tryndamere can do things on his own, but if he gets shut down early, he's kind of not a champion until he gets items. But going into this game too, I still think UCF Lancers is going to close it out 2-0. I believe in their comp. I believe that we saw from game 1, they're able to go in on a play together, and they didn't seem out of sort or out of sync.
And I think that when we look at this early game, UCF Lancers are really going to play in a way that allows for them to flex their individual prowess. We see the fact that Zoe has the ability to get the Kassadin shut down all by themselves. We also have the Nautilus able to dictate and put forth really good engages against the Sivir and Karma as long as he times his movements and his dredge line well. Similarly, Trundle, just the greatest 1v1 duelist to really ever reside in the jungle. Udyr may be a bit tough of opposition, but I still think that I would give the title of 1v1 champ to the Troll King here, and I think that this will kind of translate over into a very aggressive style for UCF Lancers jungler here, and a lot of big invades that may in turn lead to huge plays for their side.
So 2-0?
I guess so. I guess I'll put my I'll put my lot in with the Lancers here.
All right, let's go. But with that in mind, we'll take a short break with a spectator delay. Join us back for game 2 between UCF Lancers and Blue Esports.
fade anymore. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not afraid anymore.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift.
Falling away as I'm searching for with a break of a day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. This is game 2 between the UCF Lancers and Blue Esports here. We're trying to see whether or not Lancers will be able to pull off the 2-0 here. They went for a pretty big death ball there on the bot side of the map, but have ultimately opted to back off after that mantra Q from Australis' Karma landed down and did some damage to the team.
Yeah, well, they don't have a blitzcrank this time, so they can actually go into their own blue side of the jungle and kind of clear it out. Udyr going back and getting the sweeper to get rid of that ward because they know where it's placed. Karma spotted it out. Will be a nice little 30 plus gold from the side of Blue Esports as we'll see the junglers not exactly meeting in the scuttle. They're going to path in opposite directions. Trundle trying to make a play bot side, while Udyr wants to get this Tryndamere ahead so that he can essentially assert his dominance over the lane.
And this is going to give a little bit of priority over to Snazzy and Steel Thief here on the side of UCF Lancers, which is going to be big given the fact that you have this big Hulk and Vulcan in the form of the Nautilus in the early game. It's just going to give him a bit of positional priority here to play around Australis a little bit more, especially given the fact that the goal of Blue Esports for the time being is just to make sure that that Nautilus stays low enough that he won't be able to judge line in. Meanwhile, on the top side of the map, Argo already exercising that priority that he secured by getting Hito to leash. That is a flash engage though on the bot side of the map. Snazzy dropping that Ignite immediately, and Australis is going to go low, chugging this potion to try to stay above level, and it looks like that won't necessarily be a kill, but that is going to be a whole heck of a lot of priority given over to UCF Lancers.
And the only difference is the summoner spells exchanged by the ADCs. You see Jhin burn flash, Sivir burn heal. So if they try and engage again, Karma can make a play if need be, but it's going to be very situational because she's low. Sivir doesn't exactly have as the great damage as that force shot by Jhin comes out, as we see a Sleepy Trouble bubble procced. Electrocute by Lighthearted on that Zoe, just kind of feeling each other out. As we see in top lane, Tryndamere, as we noted, is essentially pushing in Graves in his tower. And yeah, it just each lane is kind of just feeling each other out a little bit. Thought they had a kill, but slightly just barely got away from the side of Blue Esports.
Yeah, and the fact that UCF Lancers were able to get that damage down onto Astraeus, but not secure the kill, means that Blue Esports are able to kind of rest on their laurels, as those potions are going to do great work and bring Karma back up to higher health here, which means they kind of get a fresh start in the lane here. If anything, Steel Thief has healed in hand, but for the time being is sitting at lower health than the side of Blue Esports, which might mean that we actually start to get engages coming through from the Karma. Although we do have Bar Jungle only in the area now, as we see a gank topside of the map. Hito flashing back towards tower, and it looks like Urusai is going to take a little bit of damage here. Snazzy going to get rooted now, but in turn, both sides of the map are going to see ganks not fully go through. Score still sets at 0-0.
Right, and both junglers attempted. Udyr did burn his flash in exchange for the Grave, so Tryndamere, if he wants to go all in, absolutely can. Graves should TP to that wave, and the only reason I say that is because Tryndamere should be able to freeze that. So by the time Graves gets up there, Tryndamere is going to have all the CS to himself as well as experience. Graves picking up the longsword and the Cull knows he's absolutely safe to just farm it out and get a nice influx of gold when he completes 100 CS. So for both sides, it's going to be interesting to see if Tryndamere can all in this Graves, and if Graves can essentially position himself and create distance so as not to be engaged upon.
Yeah, and talking about that freeze top side, I think that their option to instead go for just walking back to lane might be a little bit punishing here, as we see Graves have to overextend to get this wave crashed into tower. Argo is able to sit pretty comfortably here, and there is always going to be that pressure of Urusai coming back into the area in order to get this flashless Graves down.
Yeah, and you see it, 11, oh, here he's going in. Should be able to get a kill on him here.
Yeah, it looks like that engage is going to be dissuaded very slightly by the damage Hito was able to turn back, but Argo not actually wanting to stand down here. First blood going to go over to the Graves, go over to the Tryndamere here. Blue Esports going up 1-0.
And we talked about that. Tryndamere has this all in potential. He has Ghost, he has Flash, he still has Flash up. You burned your flash on that Udyr gank topside. The only way you can essentially escape is by dashing backwards or using your ultimate, but you just used it in the last engage. Tryndamere reading the spells, knows it's on cooldown, perfectly goes in. First blood for the side of Blue Esports.
And this is a really worrying situation. And speaking of worrying situations, bot side of the map, Dredgeline is going to lane. Snazzy running straight in there as Bar Jungle only comes into the area, dropping W down to try to help this play continue forward. Ice Pillar going to come out. That is a rooted Nautilus, but both players on the side of Blue Esports are going low under the tower there. Jin trying to get both kills, but Astraeus is going to be the only one to fall. That is a 1-for-1 there in the bot lane of the map, as Urusai comes in to try to get a dive down onto Hito. We still have ultimate from Tryndamere up, while Graves is still ultless. Lighthearted though, big rotate up into the area and going to get the kill down onto the jungler from Blue Esports. That is a big play that'll help to free up Hito just a little bit, as now Topnapun is going to come in onto Bar Jungle only. That is going to be a flash in, and wow, Bar Jungle only barely able to get out there with the utilization of their flash of their own, and now Lighthearted has come back, may be catching out Topnapun now with Snazzy in the area as everyone comes back up so early. This allows for big rotations to come through. That is a big dredge line coming down onto the side of UCF Lancers, and that will be a dead Kassadin.
He is so close to killing Bar Jungle only, but a perfect... Oh, Tryndamere going on top, so I can't even talk about that play.
Action-packed for sure. People are just coming back up way too fast, which means we get plays back and forth here as the flash is going to come through and secure Argo the Radis a kill. No ult even popped. This is a dominating Tryndamere jungle as Dredgeline lands once again bot side, and the fight continues. Astraeus and Rhaegar are staying pretty high health because of those shields coming through, but now Karma finally going to dip below half health. That is going to be a big ultimate coming through for Jin as he sits there on the back lane. Snazzy trying to get something done to keep everyone locked down, but because Urusai is in the area, he's going to be able to turn that fight. Nautilus the first one to fall, and now the Jin is dead as well. Bar Jungle only at half health going in. This may not be the wisest decision as Urusai is going to run forward. Rhaegar and Astraeus are low, so they probably won't be able to assist there, which means that ultimately Trundle gets out with their life here. But that is really walking the razor's edge, and that is going to give 2 kills over to the side of Blue Esports.
Someone get this man an oxygen tank, please. He's just been talking so long. They're just constantly fighting. Please let my playcaster breathe. As we just see him constantly, oh, we're alive, let's fight. We're alive, let's fight. Oh, don't worry, guys, I'm on the way. And we have 8 kills at 8 minutes of non-stop fighting in all 3 lanes. Tryndamere getting the advantage, has the item advantage with that pickaxe, gonna keep pummeling them in. Try to get a gank bot side. Unfortunately, couldn't gank bot side. Just barely out of range to kill Karma. Udyr capitalizing to get 2 kills, and in the mid lane almost took out Cassidon. Unfortunately, Cassidon didn't have enough health to survive, and as we finally calm down a bit, 1,000 goalie for the side of Blue Esports, 5-3 at 9 minutes.
And this is where you want to be, given the way that your composition plays out. If you lose these individual lanes, Blue Esports' team fight ability is going to crater dramatically here. But now look at where those kills are. You have a 2-0 Tryndamere top who will be able to perpetually split push and help dictate the pace of the game by drawing multiple people up to his position. Meanwhile, Sivir at that 1 kill, Udyr at that 1 kill, huge engage and approach potential, and with even the Karma getting that early victory in with that kill on their side, this will mean that gold will help them really funnel towards an early Shirelius to really kind of continue to push forward with this big run at you engage playstyle that Blue Esports is going for. Hito trying to bait a little bit. There's going to be the dredge line coming down onto the Tryndamere. Argo does have ultimate, is going to pop it and run under tower here. Not all going to be answered in kind, and finally a shutdown going over to the side of UCF Lancers. That Tryndamere is going to fall, but it took the presence of 3 separate champions.
And well done by the side of UCF Lancers, right? Kind of bait him in, you think, oh, I'm overextended, I don't know what I'm doing, haha, first time playing champion. Well done in the collapse, but I also want to give a shout out for Steel Thief. The entire time they knew what their team wanted to do, was not in lane, sat in tower. That's fine if you give some CS over, but he was able to shove that wave out, so well done and executed as we see this Zoe getting engaged on. Ignite being burned on the Cassidon as she lives. Unfortunately, both summer spells down for the side of Blue Esports as first tower does go their way. 700 gold lead for the side of UCF Lancers.
Definitely a great escape on the side of Lighthearted. I was sure that Zoe was dead right there with that kind of sandwich occurring between Mr. Topnapun and Irosai here. But for the time being, things are going to return to normalcy. We still have 1 kill up on the side of Blue Esports, but the shutdown has closed and in fact created a gold gap now slightly on the side of UCF Lancers.
Yeah, it's just, you know, that one little overextension by Tryndamere, wasn't aware that they were there, didn't have vision in the tri-bush, able to essentially collapse on him, get those plates, get that first tower. Nice influx of gold. And as I look across the map, the ones on the side of UCF, Zoe sitting at 4.2k, Tryndamere at 4.4k. So right now, these two are the main carries for both teams, and we'll see if Tryndamere was able to dodge those bubbles and get a shutdown or essentially force his will as, here we go, top side.
Yeah, Hito able to play a little bit further up, trying to get some CS back onto the map, given the fact that VAR Jungle only is in the area. But now we have this big engage on the bot side. Irosai just going to utilize his speed to run forward with that Turbo Chem tank, get some damage down onto Snazzy, who's going to act basically as the sole peeling threat for Steel Thief, who's going to run under tower. But now we have so many in the area. Teleport going to come through, but it is going to be far too late as we see the Jhin also taken off the map. Blue Esports going up 2-0 there.
And it looks like they might not be done yet, as Grave is trying to go in.
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that choice, Hito. You are going to get rooted there by the Karma, and now that Q coming through as well, putting you incredibly low. Ignite also going to be dropped, but that is not quite yet a dead Graves. And now we have a big turn. VAR Jungle only running in here alongside Lighthearted, trying to get something done. And look at everyone across the map, just barely staying alive. That is going to be a shutdown going over to Zoe, who has slowly climbed up to 3-0 here. That is going to be a nice little bright spot for the side of UCF Lancers, even while their top turret falls.
And Zoe would like to thank Karma for her free Ignite contribution. Thank you for using it on me. I will now use it on your ADC. Kill her. Appreciate it. Much obliged. I'll go back to mid and start beating on this Cassidon again. Tryndamere leads getting a tower as he's getting a collapse on top side.
Yeah, Argo the Radis does have ultimate up here, and Snazzy isn't able to put a lot of damage down, but that is a ton of CC going the way of UCF Lancers. Argo angrily trying to get after Hito, but Snazzy is going to be the one picking up the kill right there. Just no damage really traded back, and that is going to allow for UCF Lancers to play a little bit more freely. That split push threat is stopped a bit early.
Yeah, and I understand Kraken Slayer to try and get through this Trundle and Nautilus, but personally, I would just like to have seen the Gale Force. It gives you a little more ability, it gives you a little more, you know, disengage, and essentially, if you're in a sticky situation, put some distance between both of you. If you had Gale Force, you might have been able to collapse on him, but at the very least, you know, they collapsed on him top side, and you got the turret, so I guess you're trading your life for that. Gold is pretty much even at this point, as we will see a fight over the dragon, but we're going to see as Nautilus goes in.
Yeah, the dredge line is somehow going to land against Austrius. I'm not really sure about the hitbox right there, but in turn, that combined with Curtain Call is going to secure Bar Jungle only the kill onto that support. Really big plays coming through for the side of UCF Lancers around this dragon pit as they start up this Infernal Drake.
And they had the numbers advantage. Graves went to bot side, immediately started hitting on Dragon. Tryndamere does not have teleport. That is a clear 5v4, and you will win those 9 out of 10 times unless you're behind, which they clearly aren't. So not only did you get a nice pick on the Karma, you got a free kill, but you got a Dragon on top of it. You're feeling pretty good if you're the side of UCF Lancers.
And that blast plan is going to put Urusai right into the thick of danger here. That Ice Pillar is going to wall off top Nafun, and now the Udyr is sent running, but not for long. Lighthearted going to pick that one up, going on a rampage. That is a very big Zoe with that Ludens in tow now.
Yeah, she's a bit scary at the moment. Someone that can instantly one-shot you across the map without you panning your camera over is a problem. So we'll see if Zoe can maybe essentially start going down bot lane and tower diving this Sivir and Karma duo, but we'll have to see. She might just wants to tower herself, but honestly, I would like to see her make more plays on the bot side of the map.
Argo is putting in the work here, though. Hito, the only one topside right now, having to wait for Bar Jungle only to come up for an engage to actually occur, and even then Argo going to spin to win, trying to get out, has to pop that ultimate after the Ice Pillar comes out, and now that is 3 people collapsing onto him. That Sleepy Trouble Bubble going to prevent him from dumping a ton of damage back down onto Bar Jungle only. Trundle is going to live, and that is going to be a dead Tryndamere.
That is a dead Tryndamere, but they wasted so much. They sent 3 top, they sent Trundle, they sent Nautilus, Zoe rotated over. And essentially, you're just giving another tower over to the side of Blue Esports, which not have enough damage. He doesn't quite have the attack speed to take it, but oh, that feels bad. Miss smite
like the
to the
leash
side.
there from your side.
Yeah, that's as a jungler, that feels really bad. And that should be a free rift because you just saw him burn smite, so they can't exactly go in. They do have Karma speed up as long as Sivir are, so we'll see if they'll be able to collapse on this.
That is the benefit that we see from UCF Lancers sending so many topside, is that the Rift Herald is up here, but it looks like we're going to be getting that dream team fight that Blue Spirits wants as they all cross from either side now. That is Lighthearted going low and a shutdown going through for the side of Blue Esports as they're looking for more, but Bar Jungle only doing so much and going to be able to trail it back 2 kills of his own here. Hito going low, but not low enough as he's going to keep running forward. Neither of these are the Tryndamere. These are easily killed, squishy targets here, and that is going to be a huge wipe. Tryndamere, the only one left standing on the side of Blue Esports. Big momentum and huge shift over towards the Lancers team.
Oh, it was so close. Oh, well, can't talk about that. Okay, he gets out. He gets out. He was so close. One more auto, one more ability to kill Hito, but he gets out by the skin of his teeth. 3-2 for the side of UCF Lancers, and when it rains, it pours, man. And right now, there's kind of a new storm rolling in, and that storm is the name of Hito.
And speaking of Hito, look at that build, going for that Gore Drinker Korean technology right here without the ghost of all things. He is basically relying on Blue Esports running in at him in order for him to continuously heal back up during team fights and really enact this bruiser play style. I really like this selection the more I think about it, given the fact that we've talked extensively about the need for Blue Esports to basically run in at top speed and get into close or even melee range. Hito basically is saying, bring it on right here. I will just get this item, heal back up, and push through all of your damage.
And the fact that he has so much mobility too with fleet footwork, right? He can reposition himself, auto attack, throw it on a smoke screen to slow you. So right now, Graves is a huge problem for the side of Blue Esports. Not only is Zoe ahead, but Graves is starting to get ahead, and that Trundle is just going to get tankier. So unless you have a way to stop healing from both of these champions, you're in for a rough time.
And look at how much discord Trundle creates just by running into a lane right there. You had Austrius, Rhaegar, as well as Irosai here in the mid lane, and Trundle just W's, drops a pillar, and you see them basically run afraid away from the big troll there. We do have some interesting rotations though across the map now, as Tryndamere looks like he's going to come down into River, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not that is going to dictate a team fight. Meanwhile, the push mid continues for Blue Esports, just wanting to get something on the map done.
They do, but that Cassin is shoving in the top wave. That's what we talked about. Either Cassin or Tryndamere is going to be on the split push duty, pull someone back, and then try and win the 4v4. The problem is, Graves is going to be late on this TP.
Yeah, I'm not really certain about whether or not that this is a fight UCF Lancers want to take, but it seems to be working so far as Argo the Radis is going to go down. That is a huge source of damage, and tankiness is gone, and they're just going to start tearing through the back ranks. Blue Esports getting that triple kill, wiping out their team. That is going to be a huge Graves, and now Kassadin really looking like a mistake to TP to this fight, buddy.
Yeah, that collateral damage, definitely collateral, picking up 2, finally going into the quick draw and just autoing, getting that nice extra damage for a triple kill. Graves, he's in control. Tryndamere, he's out. He used to be in control. No. The new captain is Graves as they take this dragon, and looks like they should be able to get possibly an inhib mid as well.
And this is really a worst case scenario for Blue Esports. It looked like they had such a strong early game here. Argo put a lot of work down in order to get as much priority as he did, and he really began to pull away some core movers and shakers on the side of Lancers. But these team fights are just not going in their favor. We're getting the correct engages. Snazzy just able to dictate so much of the tempo of the team fight, and Bard Jungle only is basically just this huge walking meat shield that is both able to take out and dish damage in equal measure.
Yeah, and it's just, they're able to essentially anything you throw at us, right? That's what we talked about, these team compositions. They have so much disengage. They have so much ability to essentially put distance between you and this Tryndamere and this Udyr that's fine, you run into us. We will wait a couple seconds for all of your abilities to wear off, and then we're just going to punch you right in the jaw, and that's what they're doing. This is a little boxing match, and they're dodging and weaving all these abilities to finally just that one knockout punch that we just saw at Dragon Fight.
Navori Quickblades is going to come through as the second item here for the Tryndamere. Argo the Radis really kind of going for the standard build. Great split push potential, but not actually going to opt into that hull breaker that we've been seeing built even on this champion here. It looks like he realizes that while he can get some towers down in these side lanes, he is going to be a necessary presence at any of the team fights that Blue Esports want to go for going forward.
And the other thing that I'll note as well is you have a 6-2 Graves that has Gore Drinker Death Dance. You have a 4-1-10 Trundle with Divine Stunner and Spirit Visage on top of his passive healing from his ultimate and Chomp. Oh, that's a team fight. 1 sec.
Yeah, we're just going to get the Void Walk over the wall from the Kassadin. He is getting to that point where he's able to use that ability pretty freely, and that combined with that Crown of the Shattered Queen is just providing him enough resistance to take even that single Dredge line and the follow-up damage.
But I was just going to mention that they just don't have any way to stop this healing from the side of Blue Esports, so unless they have a way to cut that in half, they're just essentially going to outlive anything you throw at them and just be perfectly healthy to fight you.
You know what also is scary? The fact that in that bot lane, we saw Tryndamere try to get something going against Graves, but that Death Stance alongside the Gore Drinker basically means that he now is no longer going to be that big threat that requires multiple people. Hito is basically able to deal with the Tryndamere whenever need be.
Hey, you like lifesteal? How about we give you a shield with Hex Drinker on top of your Gore Drinker on top of your Death Stance? We'll just drink all of our smoothies, which is going to be your blood, as this Graves is out for blood. He wants to essentially make a play around the map. Unfortunately, he's a little bit on babysitting duty to stop the Tryndamere from just pushing down your entire base. But as of this moment, he's really the only champion that UCF Lancers has to deal with this Tryndamere.
Sivir not quite online yet. Same thing with this Cassidon, although he's beginning to get there with the Seraph's Embrace now in his inventory. I feel that as long as you're matching Hito with Argo the Radis, you just don't really have the ability to kill anyone on the side of UCF Lancers. Blue Esports really have to play careful here and make sure that nobody goes down. Snazzy just going to dredge line out of the way of that Karma W here as we see them begin to vie for vision control over this topside river and this Baron.
Yeah, and Zoe also picked up that Horizon focus. You better hope that you do not get hit by a Sleepy Trouble Bubble into a over-the-wall, you know, happy fun time portal jump into Paddle Star and just get one-shotted. Otherwise, you'll be looking at a gray screen for a while.
Do you think maybe that might be a bit overkill? I feel that given how far ahead she is, I don't know if that burst damage is necessary if you're already landing the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. But speaking of which, that is going to be a melted karma. Maybe proving my point just a little bit right there.
We're just talking about it. Hey, Peekaboo, where's Karma? Oh, she's in the ground. Oh, alright, well, and Tryndamere's on bot side. This is just a free Baron from the side of UCF Lancers. The only hope they have is maybe a Miracle Steal, but no, just push down turrets, get some gold back. Yeah, just trying to trade at least one turret for the side of the Purple Worm. And if you're this UCF Lancers, oh, pause comes in. And it looks like it'll just be a small pause, and we'll just talk about what we're seeing so far. So, 24-39 in the game, 2,000 gold lead, should potentially be around 3,000 gold after Baron gets taken. If you're the side of UCF Lancers, I feel like you're in a very comfortable position to just kind of coast this out and take the W.
Comfortable indeed. I will say that Blue Esports, if they are able to both get this turret mid and safely back, have done a surprising amount of damage control and are handshaking away Baron, sure, but they are getting some presence on the map here. I do kind of enjoy the fact that they are still looking for plays instead of trying to just back and lick their wounds right here. They need to continue to make these big movements around the map, try to apply pressure where they can, and try to prevent this game from really spiraling out of control.
Yeah, they gotta essentially stop the bleeding a little bit. They've had some small fights not go their way. That is unfortunate, but they just need to find a way to essentially collapse on the team. You have Saber, you have Karma, you have Trinity, like you have, and especially Udyr with the Chemtech, you have so much movement speed into them. The problem they have is sticking on these targets, which is something we talked about in the draft phase. Blue Esports, you go in, but you can't get out. Whereas UCF Lancers, they have a way to create space and essentially just kind of hold you in this little grapple move until eventually, oh, you got tuckered out. Cool, now it's my turn to exert my dominance. And that's what we've been seeing throughout this game. Blue Esports had the advantage, but by shutting down this Tryndamere and keeping the pressure on, he's no longer a relevant champion 24 minutes in this game.
Yeah, once again, we see Hito meeting that Tryndamere on the bot side of the map. We are paused in quite the moment in time right here. It's also important to note that Dragon is coming up once again. Given the fact that the best that Blue Esports can hope for regarding the fact that they're going to have to like try to get themselves out after this push mid, I think that they're just going to have to also handshake away preparations for this Dragon, allowing for UCF Lancers to go up to Soul Point as well.
Yeah, it's just, you know, they essentially have to play around that. At least you got one Dragon to at least kind of delay it a little bit. But as it stands right now, you do not win 5v5s. We've seen that constant time again with that collateral damage by Graves, getting that triple kill. Zoe with the Horizon Focus Luden's Echo was able to one-shot these champions. So it's kind of what we saw in game one, right? You need these numbers advantage to essentially catch them off guard. And they don't need to make too much of a risky play for the side of Blue Esports, but you need some type of spark. You need some type of big play in order to get confidence up on your team to give you the satisfaction of, yes, we know what we're doing. We can essentially come back into this and win this game for us.
I do think that the kind of silver lining here for Blue Esports is the fact that they have managed to stay at parity regarding towers. And although we will now be seeing big pushes coming through with a priority given via the Baron buffed minions, if you do manage to take down some of the champions on the side of the UCF Lancers and get that Baron buff off of them, I do think at the same time that you have the ability to kind of run in and really do some damage to the Lancers base here.
And yeah, and it's just, it's like I said, the Baron is going to go over to the side of UCF Lancers as they will essentially rush down this mid lane. The question now is, will they get back in time to defend mid? And they absolutely should be able to, because they will have those Baron recalls, that enhanced Baron recalls. So they'll at least get a tier 2. They'll get some type of gold back. But what Blue Esports should do, you have numbers. Just rotate bottom and kill this Graves. Rotate bottom now.
And the chance for a comeback to happen is coming through a little bit here. Hito going to go godlike and healing back up. They really need the shutdown, and finally Cassidy is going to be the one to secure it. Big chunk of gold going on over there to the side of Blue Esports as they all rotate around to this dragon here. Bar jungle only coming in from the backside alongside Snazzy, who's looking for the chance to steal in. I cannot believe that came through for UCF Lancers, as now this fight is definitely turning in their favor. That is one down now as Rhaegar is going to fall, and a huge treasure line is going to be landing onto the Karma as Austraeus is going to be seen running for the hills alongside Mr. Topnapun. They're sitting in the bottom lane. Meanwhile, Udyr gonna sit in that bush back. They don't want any of these hands.
That's a bit of a tilter. You were able to shut down Graves. You got the gold on Cassin. You're feeling good. You burned a lot of summoner spells to kill the Graves. That's a dragon you kind of just have to give, unfortunately. And you did that. You almost got out smited, but they're just going to try to end this game through mid. They're tired. They're done. They want this game to be over.
That Jin W popping Austraeus right there. No real pushback against this huge wave crashing into the mid lane. These towers are going to be going down very quickly with that Trundle in tow. Ursal is going to have to look for something here, going to get further efforts. Argo going to run right in here, dropping that Undying range, trying to get something done, but nothing is going to pan out in favor of Blue Esports here. UCF Lancers going to get that double kill onto their Zoe, and they're going to take down the remnants of the team here. That is the last Nexus falling, Nexus turret falling, and that is going to be the Nexus right behind it.
Yeah, and that's just fantastic game too by UCF Lancers. There was some issues in the early game. Unfortunately, it didn't exactly work out. But no, they came back. They played to what their strengths were. Graves, fantastic job surviving these small little skirmishes, surviving these number disadvantages, and Jin just kind of got carried along for the ride. He did, he had some good snares by himself, but no, just the big playmakers was this Graves, and especially Zoe, starting out fantastic at 4-0 lead, ending the game at 7-1, and both their powers combined just kind of strong-arm Blue Esports into submission.
Yeah, I think UCF Lancers are really showing why they've been climbing these power rankings in the Blue Otter League recently. They really have a great coherent understanding of how to move as a team and really needle away at the weak points that they start to pull up from their enemies here. Blue Esports, two kind of messy games from them. There's definitely been some shining examples of individual outplays, great ganks coming through from Urusai here in the second game as well. So they definitely have the ability to take a round off of teams here and there. But the question is, can they convert that into a sense of consistency here, especially as this Platinum League is continuing to move on deeper into the season?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I had UCF rated 4th, and they were talking on the desk. They had them kind of rated down lower, but watching how they played week 1, watching how they played tonight, they have the capability to continue to be a top 4 team, in my opinion. Both these games, if they clean up, right, they just need to clean up their early game, because I feel like that's a weak point that we're seeing UCF Lancers is going to be their early game. If they can clean that up, they can definitely be a top 3 team. Now, going forward, I haven't seen them play Undying. I haven't seen them play Cloud. So those are going to be real tough matchups for them going forward. If they can essentially beat Cloud Team, and even if you lose 2-1 against Undying, right? If you can take a game off Undying, that means you have the capability to upset them later on in playoffs. But it's going to be up to this team to essentially scrub out small details and the cracks, polish your skills and mechanics, and just be focused on what you want to do moving forward.
And that 2-0 for UCF Lancers is just going to add to this mounting momentum as we move to around the middle of the season here. Definitely they can now really firmly put Cloud Team and Undying Tyrants into their sights here, and it'll be interesting to see how this top half of the rankings continues to evolve going forward. Blue Esports Fire are going to continue to stay there at the very bottom of the platinum standings here in the Blue Otter League. But at the same time, they just had a big matchup finally pass them by. Hopefully, in these later weeks, we'll begin to see them kind of be able to claw back against some of these lower ranked teams: Titan Gaming, Obsidian, Emerald, Collective Sigma.
And I just checked, and yeah, as far as the schedule goes, it does not get easier for UCF Lancers. The last two games of the regular season, they have to play back to back Cloud Team and then Undying as their last game of the season. So the next game, week 5, you need that's a must win. If you're trying to essentially make it in playoffs as a top 4, that is a must win game. If you lose that game, you honestly potentially lose barely missing playoffs as a 5th seed. So great win tonight. Nice 2-0. That'll give you some nice cushion points. This bracket, I mean this group in general, UCF Lancers, TA Spectre, Titan Gaming, and Emerald, they're all within 2 points of each other. And Collective Sigma, again, 3 points. So you have 5 teams that are still viable for the spot. Unfortunately, Blue Esports go down 0-2. They're not out of it yet. Um, but they need to work. It seems like they need to work on a little bit of communication and just draft comps in general. It seems like they're trying to go for certain comps that are a little bit difficult to play, just kind of refine what you're do best at and figure out essentially a synergistic team moving forward with some type of CC, because the game too, I understand it, but they didn't have layers of CC unlike UCF Lancers.
And in game one, the fact that they had to concede those bans maybe impacted
Yeah.
their ability to build a team comp. But one of the basic tenets of playing in these competitive leagues is that you got to have consistency with your team. Bringing
Yep.
in an e-sub like that at the last minute definitely didn't help their chances at all. So hopefully we'll see them return next week with a little bit more fire in the belly, a little bit more prepared prepared for their engagements going forward.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting how both these teams play it out. I honestly wish them the best. But do you have an MVP of this before we leave? Do you have an MVP of the series for the side of UCF Lancers?
Yeah, I think I gotta continue to go with Snazzy as my vote for MVP. Obviously, I may be a little bit biased as a support main, but I really think that we saw Snazzy really walk the tightrope of roaming as well as making sure that their own lane got ahead in both games 1 and 2. The fact that they stayed on these tanky engaged champions really helped for them to dictate the pace of team fights. They really were there for basically every single objective, and they just didn't die. They really only sacrificed themselves when it meant that their ADC was able to get out alive or their carries were able to push forward and lead UCF to victory.
Yeah, I would agree with you. There was times where they had that 3-man gang top side, shut down that Tryndamere. Nautilus left the lane, roam top. There was plenty of times skirmishes around Rift Herald where he was just there. And even if you're just a CC bot, the fact that you're holding multiple members in place by yourself, so your carries like the Graves that we saw in Trundle, dealing that damage to essentially survive and win the fights, are so crucial in early to mid game, because those small advantages will give you the items and your power spikes earlier. So if you get those under your belt, you essentially carry that in the mid lane, and you just have more control over what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, most definitely. Well, I think for now, given the fact I don't think we're going to be able to get an interview, I'm looking to sign out here. Eternal, do you want to shout out anyone before we close here?
Uh, I just want to thank the production, for getting everything together. I pretty want to shout out you. That's nice. The first time we've worked together, so it was very nice experience working with you. So I appreciate you being my play-by-play caster in Yarko. You did a fantastic job. And just thank you everyone that came out to tune tonight and watched the matchup between Blue Esports and UC Lancers. I believe we're on a break next week for March 15th. So with that in mind, join us back the week after, March 22nd, 8 Eastern Standard Time, for the 5th week of Blue Otter League for the Platinum Platinum League. Jeez. Still a little bit tired. But other than that, I'm Eternal Cry signing out.
And I'm Nyarko.
Have a great night, and we'll see you then.